There is a time in an engineer's life when they feel fear. And I'm not talking about when they have to take their college exams or tell their families that being an engineer doesn't mean fixing computers. I mean when they have to contemplate the fear of their creations exploding into pieces. Just like the engineers who brought to life James Webb, the successor to the Hubble telescope, who had the team in complete terror for more than 4 weeks. Because you don't want to see the space observatory you've worked so hard to build blow up. James Webb's promise. The development of the James Webb Telescope, a massive space telescope that will allow the observation of planets, stars, and other galaxies from space itself, has required the collaboration of 20 countries, along with the guidance of NASA. If you've seen any videos of spacecraft and satellites taking off into space, you will know that accidents are extremely common in this area. From the possibility of these devices exploding in midair, to never penetrating the atmosphere or simply being eaten by the sun. The odds of things going wrong are immense, and James Webb has kept his team up at night in recent weeks. The promise of this project is ambitious, as it aims to revolutionize space observation like no other telescope has ever done before. If all goes well, it is possible that we are facing the era of most space discoveries known to date, and that we will be able to witness the first lights that emerged a few years after the origin of the universe. But to do that, the telescope first needs to survive, and that's why its engineers haven't slept. What problems has James Webb faced? When I say that his team is scared, I'm not exaggerating, since this project was marked by a myriad of problems that postponed its launch for a great number of years and led to quadruple its initial cost, making it reach $10 billion. If you've taken a look at my other video about NASA and its successful context with Voyager 2, you'll see that compared to the launch of other spacecraft, $10 billion is an absurd amount of money, even for those rich guys who eat breakfast at Starbucks and wipe their asses with $100 bills. I know, I'm in shock too. Why might James Webb revolutionize space observations? If your girlfriend told you that size doesn't matter, she lied to you, because size matters a lot. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to properly observe the stars. What? I'm still talking about space geek stuff. Can you guys please get your mind out of the gutter? The James Webb Telescope is not only a unique space observatory in the world for its size, with a diameter of 6.5 meters that exceeds by 3 times that of Hubble, the previous space telescope that researchers used to use, but it surpasses it by far in complexity, being composed of a huge mirror of 18 hexagonal segments. A mirror of such magnitude that, like most of the things related to this project, it brought more problems to place it on the spacecraft that transported it to space. If you still haven't understood half of what I've said, what makes the launch of this space observatory so important is that it will allow us to know truths we never thought possible. Because from frozen outer space, we will be able to observe the formation of the first galaxies. Just think for a moment about the map they used to give you when you were little, explaining how our solar system was composed. Now, you'll need a gigantic Bible full of pages to portray the amount of shit we'll be able to observe. How long will it take for the telescope to orbit the sun? According to the information we have, it is believed that the telescope would take about 14 days to deploy its antennas. I say it would take because given that this process began on December 28th, we can say that it has already done so, a journey that will not be at all easy to make, since it will need a month to place itself in the orbit of the sun and begin to be truly operational at a small distance of about 1.5 million kilometers from our planet. Just like the number of steps I feel like I walked when I have to walk my dog in the summer. If you think the sun might screw this telescope up, it does, because being an infrared telescope, the James Webb needs to operate at low temperatures. I mean, it's not even a whim. Without the right temperatures, the observatory would fall apart. It should ideally operate at a temperature of 266 degrees below zero so that its 4 instruments can function properly, especially the spectrograph, which requires a much lower temperature than the others. Of course, if a nerd like me could figure out that the sun could be a problem, you can be sure that NASA has already taken action by fixing the problem in the way I like best, by building a large solar shield to protect the telescope. Because all problems can be solved by putting up a big shield. Just ask my uncle the Viking. That way, they'll get the telescope to avoid direct contact with the sun and be able to follow whatever space telescopes do, besides looking at stuff. How big was the deployment of this telescope's sun shield? The deployment of this sun shield was big. I mean big, as well as the hearts of the people who like this video and subscribe to my channel. You're going to do it, right? Because I need to pay rent. Considered one of the most challenging spacecraft deployments ever attempted by NASA, to make James Webb's arrival in space a true success, its team is willing to do whatever it takes to make it happen. How long is the estimated lifespan of this telescope? Like any other spacecraft or satellite, the lifetime of the James Webb is completely conditioned by its fuel. Well, by its fuel and by other factors, like not ending up in the middle of the sun. But let's say things are going great for this telescope. Even if that were the case, you can't just expect a huge space telescope to keep running through the power of love and friendship. You need to make sure it's in perfect condition, lands in a safe place, and has plenty of power. Lots and lots of power. If things go well for this telescope, and I believe they will, it is estimated that this observatory will have more than 10 years of useful life. 10 years will allow even more magnificent and expensive space observatories to be developed, to which politicians will be able to contribute with our stolen tax money. As normal as it should be, we can see this leap between Hubble and James Webb, which represents a breakthrough for science and will bring us even more impressive space discoveries. Discoveries backed by a rocket booster straight out of a science fiction movie that will help correct the course and orbit insertion of this telescope. Let's call it your little metallic guardian angel, funded by the best materials money can pay for. Will we be able to find life in space with this telescope? With such great advances in the field of space telescopes, all we have left to answer is what probably got you interested in space in the first place. Will we see a sequel to E.T. on Netflix? As I was saying, what we're left to find out is whether the James Webb Telescope will help us find life in space. If it does half as good a job as its predecessor, I am 100% sure that with this telescope, we will be able to find habitable planets in the distance. That's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, what would you like the next video to be about? I'll be reading you in the comments. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell for future updates. See you soon!